that looks for you. Arrange your body into a space where you can just feel at ease. And then take the first couple of breaths, just noticing how you feel today. You might notice physically or mentally, you might notice emotionally. And check in with the flow of your breath. Watching the way the lungs inflate. Watching the shift of the organs, the muscles inside as you breathe in and out. Maybe even becoming aware of the coolness of the breath as you inhale, and then a subtle warmth as you exhale. Follow a few more rounds of breath, just settling the body, the mind, and go. Of anything that's captured your attention outside of the room. And then shift awareness to the tip of your nose. Use your nose like a pencil, draw circles in the air. They can be really small, they can be really large. I like to start small and gradually make them larger. As you're making these circles, check in with the space of the neck. We want to feel a stretch, but never any pain. Maybe there's one more circle in this direction. And then take several circles in the opposite direction. Just drawing little circles with the nose in the air right in front of you. And then as you feel complete with that, come into stillness again. And notice any changes along the neck or the head or the shoulder. Notice if that movement made you a little bit dizzy. And start to stretch the arms out to the sides, a big letter T shape. Take a little shoulder shimmy here, rolling palms up and then rolling palms down, maybe even behind. Start to check in and notice how the shoulders feel. Notice the way the shoulder blades kind of interact with the spine. And then as the palms place up to the ceiling, just pause, extend, spread through the fingers, make them really alert, create space in between the fingers. And then curl the fingers in toward the palm, make a soft fist and circle through the wrist. As we circle through the wrist, notice the forearm might want to shift, the elbows might want to shift, even the shoulders. Try to keep it in the wrist. Take those circles in both directions. And then pause and extend the fingers again. This time bend the elbows. Bring those fingertips toward the shoulders. Start to make small circles with the elbows. Again, we're just drawing little circles in the sky. Start to make those circles larger. Let the whole spine get involved. Maybe the elbows come forward or even back behind you. You might even start to feel some like a cat and cow sensation. And then take those circles in the opposite direction. You can start small and get big, or you can start big and get small circles going. And as you finish up, set the left hand down on the mat, stretch that right arm up to the sky. Add a little side bend here. Reach over to the side, pause. Press the hand on the mat more. Reach with the floating hand more. Send the ribs away from the hand. And then just shake the head, yes and no. I'm going to start with no, side to side. Maybe we take 2 of that yes, chin into the chest and then chin away. Inhale, both arms stretch up to the ceiling, lengthen up, reach the arms up and then shrug the shoulders down away from the ears. Right hand comes down to the mat, left arm stretches over. Again, we're lingering, press into the mat, send the ribs away from the hands. Take another breath here. And then lift back up, arms come up and overhead, shrug the shoulders down the back, fold forward. Let the hands come down to support you and then just walk the hands away from the legs any amount. Send the bum back toward the mat. So find a little bit of length through the low back. And then just gaze straight down toward the mat. Notice that feels. Walk the hands back in toward the body, lift up through the torso. If you're sitting crisscross, we're going to change the direction of the leg. If you've got the legs out long, just widen them or vice versa. Shift a little bit, check in with the state of the hips, noticing. And then once more, arms come out like a T. This time we're going to take cactus arms, bend the elbows, bring the fingertips up to the sky. As you inhale, pull the elbows back slightly. As you exhale, bring them forward. Let the rib cage round back, maybe forearms touch. Inhale, open up. Exhale, squeeze together. 3 more, just like that, moving with the flow of your breath. Now we all breathe at different rates and different speeds. So as you finish up that 3rd round, reach the arms up toward the sky, extend through the fingertips, roll the shoulders down the back. Left hand's going to go across the body, find the leg, start to shift the ribs away and around. Take that right hand behind you. Press into the hands and use that press to extend the crown of the head up to the ceiling. And then maybe just pulse a little bit. So a little bit of a twist and then a little back out. And a little bit of a twist and a little back out. Do that several times. Next inhalation, lift both arms back up to the sky, unravel from the twist. Roll the shoulders down. Take that right hand across the body, find the leg, left hand behind you, press into the hands. And then rotate. Again, you can pulse a little bit here. You can find stillness if that feels better in your body. One more full round of breath. The inhalation unravels the twist, arms reach up to the sky, take a hinge forward. Bring those fingertips down to the mat and walk the hands away from you. Again, focus on the back. Start to really root the bum toward the mat, get a nice deep stretch. And then hands walk in toward the body, lifting the torso back up. Take a pause when you arrive at the top. Notice. Notice what's changed already with the physical body, maybe the mental. Sometimes I get so focused on how I'm moving that I forget to worry about all those pressing items that stole my attention. My daughter says, takes up free space in your brain. Perfect. And then we'll transition any way that feels safe. Coming down onto the back of the body, bring your little resistance band along with you. We'll meet with the soles of the feet on the floor, knees up to the sky. Feel the back of the hips rooted to the mats. Feel the shoulder blades rooted to the mat, maybe even the back of the head. And then widen the feet. Take those pinky toes out to the long edges of the mat. Let the knees knock in toward one another. Several breaths here, just noticing how this feels in your body. And then separate the knees. And let the knees windshield wipers side to side. Just enjoy this little movement here at the beginning. Notice how both legs might feel sensation in different parts of the leg. Notice if the feet wiggle toward one another. That's pretty common. Let's take one more sway, both sides. And then as the knees come back up to the ceiling, start to heel toe the feet a little bit closer together. Gather up that right leg, hug the knee in toward the chest. I'm going to slide hands around the back of the leg, but you can hold anywhere that feels comfortable. Use the arms to really draw that leg in toward the body. And as you do that, notice what happens with the belly, with the back of the body. Start to circle through that ankle, articulate it, move it around, try to make space between the toes. And then take those circles in the opposite direction. And then pause and just check in with that other leg, the left leg. You can keep the knee bent, foot on the mat, or you can stretch it out nice and long. It's your choice. And then shift the right hand to cover that right knee. We're going to let the hand help the knee draw circles in the sky. A little stirring of the pots. And take maybe 3 or 4 circles in both directions. And notice what the other bum cheek does. Do you shift side to side? Do you forget to breathe? And then the next time the knee comes in, pause, squeeze it in a little bit more. Try to keep it drawn in, but release the hand and reach for your band. We'll lasso the sole of that right foot. I'm going to put it right there on the ball of the foot, and then just press that foot up to the sky. Now we're using these resistance bands here. So I want you to think about how you control that resistance. Check and see if you can take one edge or one tail of each strap into each hand and then start to stretch the arms. If you've got a longer band, it's going to be easier to stretch the arms overhead. If you picked up one of those green bands in studio, I've just got elbows up to the sky and the hands are floating over the head. Got a little resistance here. Really root the shoulders toward the mat. And then notice the belly. Draw all the organs in toward the spine. Now we're building strength here in our Padangusthasana series. So keep the hands as they are, but press that foot away from the body, any amount. And then draw the foot in, any amount. We're repeating this several times. Feel the effort, building strength in those small muscles throughout the hips.
You might also notice, depending on how you're holding the resistance band, you might be building strength through the arms. And then the next time you press it away, pause and just hold there. Notice if you've lost that engagement through the entire abdomen. Can you guide it back in? Are you still breathing? And then here with the leg pressing away, think about the thigh bone. Move the thigh bone away from you. And then soften up. Put both tails into the right hand. We're going to take that right arm again toward the head. If you've got a longer band, you can actually extend it overhead and offer even more resistance. Start to open up that right leg. Take it away from the body. Keep the arms stable. Notice how everything fires up. Try to make both bum cheeks heavy on the mat. We're not rolling over to the side. We're just pulling that leg while we grip the resistance band. Take another breath or two. And then lift the leg back up to the sky. Grab both hands with the strap. So one hand, each tail end. We're coming back to that rocking horse motion. So I've stacked that in my shorter band. I'm stretching the arms toward the head. We're just going to send the leg away and then draw the leg back into the body. Trying to not move the arms or the elbows. Whether this is a small movement or a big movement, it's perfect. And then the next time that leg lifts up, put both straps into the opposite hand. So both straps in the left hand. Find that arm position that works best with your band. Take the leg across the body, maybe lining up the toes with the left shoulder. Really reach through the inner arch of the foot. Take your right thumb and bring it toward that right hip. Hip bone goes down to the mat. Thigh moves away from the belly. Breath continues to flow. And then release. Bend the knee, take the resistance band up and stretch that leg out nice and long. Find a pause there and just notice. Notice along the hips what's happening. You might feel the thigh muscle engaging. You might have a big sigh, letting go of the effort. Reach the arms up to the sky, and again, just circle through the wrist, wiggle through the fingers. Notice the amount of effort it takes to hold that band. And then hug the opposite leg in, left knee in toward the body, drawing it in, squeezing it in, holding on wherever you'd like. Start to move through that left foot, articulating all of those little tiny bones and muscles. We have more bones in the foot than we do anywhere else in the body. See how many you can become aware of, noticing how that moves. And then draw the leg in again. Ooh, draw it in as close as you can. Try to keep it there, but release the hands. Left hand catches the kneecap, and we just start to draw circles in the sky with that left leg. Hopefully remembering to go in both directions. And then as the leg comes in, we'll gather up the band, Lasso the sole of that left foot, you press it up to the sky. One hand on each tail of the strap, setting up the arms, feeling that pull of resistance. And then pause and notice you're always welcome to bend that right leg that's on the mat. We want to draw all the organs in toward the spine. So not just the belly, but the sides of the body, back of the body. Keeping the arms nice and still, find stability through the torso, send the foot away, draw the foot back in. Repeating several times, playing with that resistance. Notice if the arms shift or move, try to keep them nice and still. And then as the leg reaches back up to the ceiling, both hands, both straps, the tails of the straps go into the left hand. We set up that arm again and we press that left leg out away from the body, out to the side, any amount. Because we're looking for strength, it really doesn't matter how far that leg goes. If you're feeling the resistance, you're feeling the muscles start to activate in the hold, you're doing it. Notice if the right bum cheek lift up, push it back down to the mat, stabilize, and then bring the leg back up to the sky. Both straps, one in each hand, returning to that rocking horse motion. Away and toward. Away and toward. Notice, you might feel this in other parts of the body. It might not just be the leg and the hip. That's normal. We're all connected. And then pause, put both of the tails into the right hand. Take that leg, that floating leg across the body, lining it up with the right shoulder. Reaching through the inner side of the foot, that big toe, that inner heel, that inner arch. Maybe finding a self-assist where you press the left thigh away. Draw that left bum cheek to root firmly in the mat. Remember to breathe. As you finish up this round of breath, lift the leg back up. Bend the knee, slide the band off, and extend the leg. Again, noticing how this feels. Take several breaths there. You might be comparing sides. You might be like, please, Catherine, don't do the band again. No more of that. And then widen the legs. You can even take them off of the mat if that feels comfortable. We'll take the arms into a big V shape, stretching the arms up and overhead. If you prefer a T shape, that's totally cool. Little star pose, reach with the limbs, extend through the fingers and the toes. And then inviting a little bit of movement in. I'm going to start with my left arm. I'm going to take it up to the ceiling. And then I'm going to start to peel that left shoulder up, even the back of the head. We're reaching that arm down toward the right leg. You might find the body lifting up, stretching toward the right foot. And then come back down again. So moving diagonally. I'm going to take one more with the same arm, just kind of getting into that feeling, stretching, lifting up the left side of the body. Reaching toward that right foot, coming back down. Let's take two with the other side. So the right arm stretches up to the sky, the shoulder lifts, the head lifts. Maybe the torso starts to twist as you reach toward that left leg. And then you come back down. Another one, same side. And then we'll alternate side to side. You can move a little bit faster. You can find some bends through the elbows and the wrists. You can stay nice and stiff if that feels better in the body. We're just moving organically, stretching the fascial lines that run diagonally across the body. Let's take one more, both sides. And then let the arms rest, slide the legs a little bit closer together. Feel free to bend the knees, maybe even come back into constructive rest where the knees knock together. Noticing. You might feel activation along the sides of the torso. You might feel length or more space along the back of the body. And then gather both legs in toward the chest. Little Apanasana. You can hold on to the legs and roll side to side. As you roll, remember, find that band again, noticing where you put it, reach for it. We'll wrap the band around the bottoms of both feet now, lifting up the feet to the sky, holding on to the tails of the band. If you've got a longer band, it might feel really good to wrap the band around the wrist. Keep the arms nice and long here. Notice how the back of the body is against the mat. Hands are reaching straight up to the sky, shoulders heavy. Move both feet away from the hands. And then draw the feet back in toward the hands. Trying to keep the arms steady, the spine stable. Little pulses, legs move away, legs come back in. Notice what's going on in the abdomen. You might feel it firing up or creating a bit of heat. And then really press into the band. Start to lift the back of the head. Keep pressing. We're going to roll all the way up into staff pose. Pull the body up. Set the heels on the mat. And then bend the elbows and draw the torso over the legs. Forward folding. Take a couple of breaths there as you release the band. Set it down. And then lift up the torso. Legs are nice and long in front of you. Let's widen them, make them like a V. Take the arms out like the letter T. We're going to take one hand. I'm going to start with the right arm. I'm going to reach it across the front of my body down toward that left leg. I'm taking a twist and then a hinge over the leg. Pull the body up and out. Twist to the other side. Up and out. Alternating as we shift and rock side to side. In the Kundalini lineage, you tap the foot and you throw away what you don't want. And then speed it up a little bit. Notice the effort it takes to do this.
We'll take one more each side. And then pause, release the hands. Maybe the hands help support the legs as we bend the knees. Soles of the feet together, a little Baddha Konasana. Both arms are going to come out in front, interlace the fingers. Now those interlaced hands are going to reach away from you. Hinge forward, take the hands over to one side, and then lean back, bend the elbows, draw the hands in, take them over to the other side. Stirring the pot, churning the butter, that's what they call it in the Equanimity series. Take two more in this direction, and then change to the other direction as you're ready. Last full little circle. Rest the hands on the lap, lift up through the torso. Take a couple of shoulder rolls around and down the back. And then slide the heels in closer towards you. Press through the pinky side, the outside of the foot. Really press that together, even the outer heel. Notice. And then hands slide back behind you. Put a little bit of weight into the hands, fingers in any direction. Knees float up to the sky. And let the knees just windshield wiper again side to side. Maybe noticing how this feels different or the same as that first set we did at the beginning of class. And then the next time the knees come up to the ceiling, pause. Take the right ankle, the right foot, cross it over the left leg. Little figure 4. If you're feeling it, great. If it's too much, slide that left foot away. If it's not enough, you don't feel it yet, drag the right or the left foot in. Take several breaths there. And then find space across the collarbone. Press into the hands. Puff up through the chest. Let the legs sway side to side. It's that windshield motion again, but we've shifted the position of that femur bone inside the hip socket. One more sway side to side. And then set the right foot on the floor. Take a pause in the middle. Moving to the other side, cross the left ankle over that right thigh. Press into the hands, puff up, adjust the right heel as close to the bum or as far away as you want. Keep that opening across the chest as the legs sway side to side. Last little sway. Foot comes back to the ground. Widen the legs a little bit. I'm going to even walk the heels away from the body, lift the body up, and just let the body roll over the legs. You can hold on to the shins. Feel free to add a little movement here through the wrist, round through the back, maybe even tuck the chin into the chest. And then peel the body away from the legs. Move both of the feet over to one side. We're going to roll over, let the hands support you, transitioning into tabletop. When we're here in tabletop, take a couple of rounds of cat and cow. You always, always, always add comfort. Maybe you've got a blanket under the knee. Last round.
Send the hips back toward the heels. I'm going to keep the legs pretty narrow. Let the belly interact with the thighs. Grip the mat with the fingertips and draw the body up through tabletop. Let the hips lower down toward the ground. Think cobra. Full body movement here, pressing back into child. And then drawing the body forward through that cobra. And then as you repeat that, find some motion, some rippling movement along the spine. There's no right or wrong way to move the spine here, as long as you feel and stay safe. That's perfect. Notice where your blocks are. Maybe on this round, you bring them forward. And then meet in tabletop. I'm going to bring the blocks forward. They're going to be a little base for my elbows. So walk the hands around the outsides of the blocks. We're going to keep the hips stacked over. You might find forearms on the block or elbows on the block. Keep the hips over the knees and start to melt the heart down toward the mats. Any amount. We want to feel safe and secure. You might notice the back of the body kind of drawing or squeezing all the muscles in toward the spine. You might feel a lot of sensation under the arms. And you linger here for 2 more breaths. And then really press into the arms, lift the body up, right? Slide the blocks underneath your hands. You might draw them closer to the body. So now we've made our arms longer by using the blocks. I like the lowest level. You can always use the second level. Third might be kind of wobbly. Take a moment here and feel the difference between pressing the hand forward and pressing the hand down. Just kind of explore that. We want to press down into the blocks so that we don't lose the blocks. Tuck the toes. Try to get the toe prints to the mat. And then think about pressing into the arms more and moving the belly toward the thighs. Doesn't have to be very far. Feel the stretch along the bottom of the foot. Start to press into the toes and into the big toe mound. Float the knees up. Draw the belly in, draw the organs and feel that engagement. This is super intense. We're going to take knee taps. Lower the knee, lift the knee. Lower and lift. Doesn't have to be very high. You might feel your thighs burning. Last little tap. Knees go down. Soften on the arms, bring the forearms back down to the blocks. Let the hands kind of dangle off the other edge. Maybe even move the palms down to the mat. Little extension through the wrist. Take your cat and cows here, noticing the difference. Rounding through the spine. Last one. Slide the hands closer to the legs. Just kind of hop them over the blocks and move the blocks out of the way. We'll come to a high kneel, lifting up the body, stacking the hips over the knees, shoulders over the hips, earlobes over the shoulders. You might close your eyes here. This is a kneeling mountain pose. Feel the engagement. And then imagine, or actually think about breathing in this way. Inhale through the low belly, up the ribs, across the chest, maybe even circle that breath all the way up into the head, and then let it slide down the back of the body. Just explore that, inhaling up the front, exhaling down the back. It's called a Shiva, or a particular type of breath technique, a cleansing breath technique. And then pause. Keep the breath moving, but slide the hands to the back of the body like you're sliding fingers into your bum pockets of your pants. Squeeze the elbows together. Notice how that opens up across the chest. Use the fingertips to press the hips forward. Little cobra variation. Engagement along the back, opening and length through the front of the body. I like to keep the gaze going forward, but if the neck feels safe, tilt the chin up to the sky. It's not about how big the motion is, how big the asana is, but more about the integrity and the breath. If you're holding the breath, back out a little bit. And then pull the body back up. Reach the arms up and or out and up. Slide the palms together. Move them down the midline. Just circling the arms. We'll reverse that. Inhale, palms together, fingertips up to the ceiling. And then take the hands apart. Pull the air apart. Okay, out and up. Inhaling. Exhaling down the midline. Up to the midline. And out wide. Perfect. And then pause. Think about what kind of props you want for your final resting pose. We're going to linger a little bit longer in Shavasana. So if you want to gather a blanket underneath the hips or over the body or under the head, feel free to do that. Bolster feels really nice under the legs. Can always be on the side or even sit. Just kind of situate yourself, make yourself feel at ease. When you arrive into your space of comfort, shift and adjust. See if there's any remaining areas of tension that you could release. Know that you are not tied into this position, so if at any time it wants to shift or change, you're welcome to. With practice, meditation will give you a feeling for evenness, clarity, and peacefulness. Take these first few minutes to steady your mind by focusing on the sensations of breathing in your body. Become increasingly mindful of the changing feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Notice in your body and in your breath what feels pleasant, what feels unpleasant, what feels neutral.
Sense a growing impartiality toward whatever arises. So sense this ease, this unrelaxed, undisturbed presence with whatever arises. Accept and be at peace with whatever arises. Allow your mind to become increasingly steady, quiet, collected. You might be aware of sounds in your space. There's an invitation to hear without being caught by what's heard. Be aware of sensations. Sense without being caught by what's sensed. Be aware of thoughts. Think without being caught by what's thought. Developing a sense of equanimity. Notice how pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling tones come and go. They're constantly changing and not a dependable basis for happiness. Be aware of passing thoughts and feelings without identifying with them. No one needs to own them. Be aware without reacting. Noticing a growing disengagement. There's less tilting toward pleasure, less pulling back from pain. It's neutral. No reaction. Equanimity. Rest in this awareness, free from reactions. Abiding is equanimity, breath after breath, at ease. Settling into deeper and deeper layers of ease and equanimity. Sensing a sublime freedom, contentment, and peace. ever so gently. Slowly draw awareness back into the eyes. Maybe keeping the eyelids heavy, just shift the eyes side to side, or up and down. And then slowly flutter the eyes open, bringing visual into your equanimity. Notice with no partiality what the eyes take in. Maybe it's light or dark. Maybe it's the space of the ceiling. Explore the mind of no preferences, of equanimity for whatever crosses your gaze. And then invite the back of the head to roll side to side, noticing more things that cross your gaze. Noticing without reacting to those things that cross the gaze. Bring a bit more movement into your body as you finish the meditation. Maybe fingers and toes start to shift. Maybe elbows and knees start to bend. Explore that movement for no preference. Notice without labeling pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. And then make your way on to the side body, rolling to one side or the other. Pausing there. Maybe even asking yourself, can you take this feeling of equanimity, of equality, of non-reaction into the rest of your day? Top hand presses down into the mat. You might even lengthen the top leg as you roll into that hand and lift the body upright. I'll come into any comfortable seated shape, facing any direction. Resting the backs of the hands on the legs. Lengthening up through the spine. Feeling that equanimity throughout the body. Throughout the thoughts. Maybe even throughout the breath. This smooth and steady rhythm. And a closing breath together, taking the arms out, circling them up, gathering the energy around the body and sliding that energy down the midline. Resting palms, thumbs at heart or on the lap. A moment of gratitude together. From my heart to each of yours, namaste.